Mane fa na se ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de ose dem yopo.
Abusafo ade no de eya ye se Ghana no ye ni chiri ade papa. Seriously, ye ni chiri ade papa. Ghana for empe ade pa. Sa na me ne be ka no. Yes. Ko ma stadium hu se ni papa bia obeba Ghana. Obeyi na kuma mu fita na adwene mu fita so opese obo oman no. Bia no onya attack. Serious attack from ono na busuafo. Serious attack from ono ankasa nimpotam anase ni area na busuafo oman ankasa attack nipa no chese odwene ho a wonte ase. Busuafo nipa me ba be ka no ho asam yi a esia bebebo video bi a kire mo no ye onipa ye frɛ no anase maame a ye frɛ no Joana Gyan eye meka ne se memfa ne se abayewa wasi so a se binyame ato ne nsam kakra na abaya yi meka ne se enam akoma pa a owonti wafa ato no ho se opese oboa ono ankasa ne nkrofo a wo Amanfi Central. Busiafo me no kasa sesi an maybe can some ketu abi a kire wo ansa na ya cause substantive issue na ankasa so because NDC for a press conference e de afa ho o ma press conference afa ho kire eye danger ene nsemhuna isi ene nkrofo ketu abi free Amanfi Central ho e pese o mo ye editia the whole of Amanfi me nka se ma me no mo ye tia no da bi on ye se wa bo ne bra sabi nyame ahira no MP ede de na be ka no ho emfa hwe nka no ho baby obo ne bradu no she doesn't need MP position to let's say to survive because pay no a sabi e bia bosome so a ye de betua ne ka no ono ede otimi de che ona so otimi ese no nipa ho ede bosome ne ye de tua MPs no ono ede otimi e de che anaso otimi de bo nipa ho bra abusiafo isifo eni nipa ketua bi o ena pese edi nyamransam sei editia Amanfi Central na Amanfi Central for so moto wonom ena mo hwe se saa maami anyame de na che mo sa akyede na se mo hwe ama nipa miensa nan num bi eni omo asabio omo ni bre selfish interest nti ye be gisa de we afiri mo nsam mo akasa mo jejereje abusua ene se mami a ye friend Joana Gyan a we parliamentary candidate edema eye Amanfi Central yi mo amunim nsansama esi ye menka mu nsam san se video na me ba bebo no ebe ka mu nsam e de a kire mo a enka ene ono ene ye parliamentary candidate edema eye the people of Amanfi Central because ye koto aba no ono ena NDC eyi no edene maaye eno ena nipa kakra bi the incumbent MP owo we NDC ni a sabio ene speaker of parliament apamono every parliament yi ene nkrofo kuma bi akwose baabi pese omo sei ajapade anasa adepa nyame de ache Amanfi Central maami America no asema busuafo oba Amanfi Central onye meye MP mpo minimo kasei abusuafo se ne oya brantie ababawa na wie free SHS na se o ko university a o 4 years of university na wura mu nyina no ono wafa ho ka o foundation afa ho ka a etuama constituency ni nyina o abusua ne constituency ni nyina wo abrantie o ababawa o abofra wawie SHS a o se o ko university sa wo sika sa wo ni sika na wo pese o support wo de abusua o do ho kodom eye ne foundation na eye free wo ko school 4 years ni na free abusua wo ye no free ho a sa wo ya baya abrante penyini hwan na sa wo pese o sua ensano djuma wo pese o sua ensano djuma e wo kuro no so a ana se Amanfi Central constituency ni mu a o dia na se baabi a opese usua adwuma no se wo baabi tinko ade a oni problem se carpenter say hairdressing, say makeup, say whatever, mason, whatever that you want to learn. And when your man ube here at the akusuya sa your money no mami f afahunka. O the honest ubenya baby, where I want it. Mamma na fani na hunka. Ube suya juma na uya ya ponwa wasan boa ama setting up. That is a juma waye ediama eye a Memphis Center for up till now that's ugusu a oye. And ne ame no woka say ukoduru emwa wodia ba obdia bo akuro no. Ne hihye ya wo hospitals opesu si mo money ho keka wa abusuya. Na nipa bi say yes ye mpene mane ma parliament. Yam pene mane me fence NPP ma constituency ni bebo no buga eno na NDC for akasa afa electoral commission disqualification or mode a disqualify no na abusian for general secretary of the NDC honorable Fifi Kweti ne Fifi avi Kweti ono na obe kasa efa issue no ho. In fact NDC for ankasa e de omano ato asem no ma kan se bi afa isi ho. And the kwanya omo pese omo ni NPP for e ka omo ho bom e di sa nyamra ansam no but make assure Ghanaian say enye ye nde enye ye ochina me pese ye kɔ na ikutie enkomo no said ye etie na yemra emeto aso.
Abuse of authority, this overt manipulation of the democratic process, in this audacious attempt to deny the people of Memphis Central their rights to representation cannot and will not be tolerated. The NDC as a political party founded on the core values of justice, equity, and democracy will not sit idly by while the EC, a state institution constitutionally mandated to safeguard our electoral process, turns itself into a political tool for the ruling NPP government. What we are witnessing at the moment is nothing less than a direct attack on the fundamental pillars of our democracy, an attack that seeks to erode the right of voters to freely choose their representatives. We recognize this for what it is, an orchestrated plot to weaken the NDC in key constituencies, tip the electoral scale, and sabotage the will of the people of Ghana. Now the facts of the case. Ladies and gentlemen, let us set the record straight on the facts of this case, for they are not complicated at all. They rather represent a reflection of the blatant disregard for legal process and fairness by the Mensah-led Electoral Commission. On May 13, 2023, the National Democratic Congress conducted its parliamentary primaries in the Memphis Central constituency. We saw Madam Joana winning overwhelmingly and became the chosen candidate of the party. However, following that victory, certain individuals who were dissatisfied with the outcome filed a lawsuit at the Secondary High Court, questioning the legitimacy of the election. In response, an interlocutory injunction was secured, which temporarily restrained Madam Joana from holding herself out as a duly elected parliamentary candidate until the final determination of the substantive matter. Here is where the situation becomes clearer. This injunction was not a final judgment. It was a temporary provisional order, one that simply puts on hold the situation until the court could fully examine the claims. An interlocutory injunction, by its very nature, is never a final determination of the matter. It does not decide who is right or wrong. It does not pass a verdict. It merely maintains the status quo for the time being. However, as is often the case with legal processes, time was not on our side. After the injunction was issued, the court went on vacation, which meant that the NDC's application to resolve the matter could not be heard. We were at an impasse. The NDC was faced with a difficult decision: wait for the court to resume, knowing that this would significantly delay the process, or take proactive steps to ensure that the constituency will have a candidate for the upcoming parliamentary elections. Recognizing the urgency of the situation and mindful of the electoral timelines, the NDC's Functional Executive Committee made a prudent decision to annul the May 13, 2023 elections and proceed with fresh primaries. This decision was necessary because the court was on vacation and time was running out for the party to present a parliamentary candidate for the constituency. The annulment was not a concession of any wrongdoing on the part of the party, but rather a responsible move to ensure that democracy in Amenfi Central will not be held hostage by legal technicalities and the court's vacation schedule. Thus, on September 8, 2024, first elections were held. While 4 candidates initially contested the May election, that was the prior election, for this rerun in 2024, only Joana and the incumbent MP, Peter Akwachi-Aka, took part in the contest. The election conducted in accordance with all party rules and electoral guidelines was supervised by the Electoral Commission itself, which was duly informed every step of the way. The process was transparent, and Madame Joana was once again declared the clear way of the process, without any protests or objections from any other candidate or any controversies surrounding the process. The September 8 election superseded the May election, making the earlier contest irrelevant and reinforcing Madame Joana legitimacy as the NDC's parliamentary candidate. Let me be clear on this point. The September 24 election rendered the May 23 election null and void. It effectively reset the clock. The interlocutory injunction tied to the May election became legally moot. The new election, conducted under fresh circumstances, was a legitimate process, fully compliant with the laws of Ghana, with no legal challenge against it. Yet despite this, an astounding display of incompetence and recklessness and bad faith has gone ahead to disqualify Joana Gyan. Their actions are based on the premise of an expired injunction that is no longer applicable. The May 2023 election, which was the subject of that injunction, no longer exists. It was annulled and replaced by the first September 2024 election, which is not being contested in any court of law. So we ask the Electoral Commission, on what basis are you disqualifying Madam Joana Gyan? On what legal ground do you justify this decision? Are you so blinded by partisanship that you would invoke a court's order tied to an annulled election in an attempt to block a legitimate candidate? This is not only legally unsound, but deeply dangerous for the NDC adhered to every legal requirement throughout this process. We annulled the earlier election to respect the injunction, even though the court was on vacation and the matter could not be promptly addressed. We acted responsibly by holding fresh elections within the required time frame to ensure that the people of Amenfi Central would have a candidate to represent them. The Electoral Commission was involved every step of the way, and yet today they stand before us attempting to use an expired legal order to disqualify our candidate. This is nothing short of a travesty of justice. It's a violation of the right of our candidate, and more importantly, a violation of the right of the people of Amenfi Central, who have made their voices heard through their votes. The decision to disqualify Joana John Kujo is legally baseless, morally indefensible, and a slap in the face of our democratic principles. Furthermore, it's actually a violation of the right of us as a political party to be able to have a representation to take part in the election in December 7. The Electoral Commission must explain to Ghanaians how they can justify such a blatant miscarriage of justice. They must explain how they can disenfranchise thousands of voters based on a court order tied to an election that no longer exists. And they must be held accountable for the damage they are doing to the credibility of our electoral system. The NDC will not accept this decision. We will fight it in the courts, we will fight it in the public arena, and will fight it in every forum available to us. We will not allow this abuse of power to go unchecked. The right of our candidates, the will of the people of Amenfi Central, and the future of democracy demand nothing less. Let us not forget that this is not the first time the Mensah-led EC has acted with such reckless disregard for democracy. We all remember the tragedy of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lipe, and Lolobi, known as SAL, where the EC willfully disenfranchised an entire constituency in the 2020 election, leaving the people without representation in parliament. The people of Ghana must not be fooled. The disqualification of Madam Joana Gyan is part of a broader pattern of misconduct by the Electoral Commission that has shown time and again that it is unfit to be the referee for our democratic process. From South to Amenfi Central, the EC's actions reveal a dangerous intent to rig the elections, not through the ballot box, but through legal trickery and administrative subterfuge. This latest travesty must not be allowed to stand. If we do not stop the EC now, then tomorrow it will be your constituency, your representative, your right to vote that will be denied. To further expose the wicked agenda of the Mensah-led EC, it has emerged that the Electoral Commission showed its true intentions when it issued the letter of disqualification on 10th October 2024, a full 6 days before even bothering to check whether the injunction had been stayed or vacated at the secondary court. This blatant disregard for due process is clear indication of their bad faith. It wasn't until 16th October that the EC wrote to the secondary high court to inquire about the status of the injunction. This clearly is a desperate and shameful attempt to justify an unlawful decision after the fact. This sequence of events exposes the Electoral Commission for what it is under Mensah's leadership. A biased, politically compromised body that is more interested in serving the agenda of its handlers than upholding the law and the principles of democracy. No self-respecting referee would act this way. Imagine officiating a match, allowing one team to score freely, only to decide afterward that you need to check the rules. It is an absurdity that Ghanaians cannot tolerate. The EC supervised the acclamation of Joana Gyan, allowed her to go through the balloting process, and made no objection during this critical moment. And now suddenly, they claim she's disqualified based on an injunction tied to an annulled election. You can just imagine, that's a political party. Every step of the way, we have waited and patiently seen the EC approving every process, meaning they actually have not been given an opportunity to know what is in their mind. If they had, for example, said earlier that there was a process, the party would have been in a position to take a step long ago to make sure the right things are properly done. It's pretty obvious, therefore, that the EC is not just demonstrating incompetence, but showing deep malice in the process. Now, this clearly is simply a sinister agenda to favor the ruling NPP. It is becoming clear that the Electoral Commission is no longer a neutral arbiter in our democratic process. Rather, it has become a tool in the hands of the ruling New Patriotic Party, wanting to suppress opposition candidates and skew the playing field in their favor. The EC's actions in Amenfi Central are but the latest in a series of calculated moves designed to deliver a parliamentary majority to the NPP by any means necessary. The disqualification of Joana Gyan is an attempt to gift the Amenfi Central seat to the NPP on a silver platter, just as they did in Herh with Peter Amewo. This is not mere incompetence. This is deliberate, premeditated, and unlawful conduct. Mensah and her cronies are operating with impunity because they believe that they are untouchable. They believe that the NPP's foothold in the EC grants them the license to abuse their power without consequence. But we are here to tell them that they are wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, let it be known here and now. The EC is at war with the NDC. This is a war we did not choose. the one we will fight to the bitter end. We are not fighting for just a parliamentary seat. We are fighting for the very soul of our democracy. We are fighting for the fundamental right of every Ghanaian to be represented fairly, to have their voices heard, and to ensure that no institution, no matter how powerful, can trample on the will of the Ghanaian people. Let it be clear that the NDC will not fold its arms while Mensah and her gang at the Electoral Commission orchestrate this shameful and unlawful disqualification. We will not sit idly by while the Electoral Commission, in collusion with their masters in the NPP, dismantles our democracy, one unlawful decision at a time. We see their agenda and we will fight and crush it. Let there be no doubt, we are ready for this battle and will not rest until justice is served and the people of Memphis Central get the representation they deserve. Following the EC's unconstitutional and baseless disqualification, our flag bearer, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the leadership of the NDC wasted no time in giving a direct command to our legal team to take them to court and to stop them in their tracks. This is not a request, this is an order. The NDC actually has gone ahead, and this morning our lawyers in swift and decisive action served the Electoral Commission with court documents on the motion for an interlocutory injunction. The message is out loud and clear. We will not allow this disqualification to stand. The court documents have been filed, and we have secured an injunction to restrain the Electoral Commission from printing ballot papers, from issuing notices of poll, and from taking any further action towards the election in Memphis Central until this matter is fully resolved. But let us understand this. The court battle is only one front in this war. We are not stopping there. The NDC is mobilizing, and our supporters across the country are ready to rise up in defense of democracy. We will not allow this injustice to pass. The people of Memphis Central will not be silenced. The Electoral Commission has awakened a sleeping giant and will not back down, and we will not surrender. Let it be known to Mensah and her cronies and the Electoral Commission. We see through your tricks. We know what you are trying to do. You want to turn Memphis Central into another South, where an entire constituency was disenfranchised, where the voices of the people were silenced, and where democracy was hijacked. But hear us well, Memphis Central will not be another South, not on our watch. The NDC will fight back with everything we've got, and we will not stop until justice is done and the will of the people is restored. To our supporters, we urge you to remain resolute and be ready. Stand prepared. This fight is far from over, and the next steps will be announced very soon. We will need every hand on deck, every voice raised, and every heart committed to this cause. Because the forces of darkness, those who seek to undermine our democracy with their disgraceful shenanigans, shall be defeated. They will not prevail. We will win this fight. This is not just a fight for Memphis Central. This is a fight for the very future of our country. This is a fight for every constituency, for every voter, for every Ghanaian who believes in democracy, fairness, and justice. The NDC will not rest. We will not allow the Electoral Commission to continue disgracing this nation with their corruption and incompetence. The NDC will fight, and will fight until we win. Let the Electoral Commission and their handlers understand this. The days of impunity are over. You will be held to account for your actions, and you will be brought to justice. This is our warning. To conclude, Ghanaians, we need to stand together to protect our democracy. Under the leadership of Mensah, the Electoral Commission is steering us towards a future where elections are not decided by the will of the people, but by the bureaucrats and political operatives who pull strings from behind closed doors. This is not the Ghana that Kwame Nkrumah envisioned. This is not the democracy that our forefathers fought for and bled for. The disqualification of Joana is not just an attack on the NDC. It is an attack on the right of every single Ghanaian who believes in fairness, justice, and the sanctity of the ballot box. This decision strikes at the very heart of our democratic values. It undermines the very foundation upon which our electoral system stands. We call on all well-meaning Ghanaians, civil society organizations, legal practitioners, and defenders of democracy to condemn this outrageous act. This is not merely an NDC issue. This is about the very future of our country. We must not allow a compromised institution like the Electoral Commission to dictate the outcomes of elections through underhanded and unlawful tactics. The NDC will not rest and the EC until the EC is held fully accountable for this disgraceful abuse of power. We will not rest until the people of Amenfi Central have their rightful representative in Parliament, chosen freely and fairly by the people, and not by an overreaching and corrupt institution. And will not rest until Mensah and courts are removed from office and replaced by individuals who genuinely respect the rule of law and the democratic principles that guide this nation. We will fight this battle on every front, in the courts, on the streets, and in the heart and minds of the people. The NDC will continue to fight for the soul of this nation because we know that the forces of darkness, those who conspire to undermine our democracy, shall not prevail. The Mensah-led Easy will not prevail in this shenanigan. Democracy shall win. Justice will win. The people of Ghana will win. Thank you very much, and God bless our whole country.
Right, thank you very much, and democracy will definitely win. We will be taking questions, but before then, we'll invite our Director Legal to give us a brief summary in the Twi language, and then we'll follow immediately with the questions. Thank you.
Eye enkomo no na yakofa ede abramo no eye NDC headquarters and General Secretary Honorable Fifi Fiavi Kwete ono ena ne wabeka asamwa efa eye Joana Gyan Kujo ene EC ensensam no ho abusuafo nyemeka nyina ne se de ekoso nyina no de ekoso nyina ni nyina ne se they know. Yes, the NPP know. So already, sa seat no. A NDC for seat. Yes, a safe seat for the NDC. But Joana Gyan Kujo na Orban, they know say woman na Orban and she year no mama ho kwama woman we betna ho no mo. Baba bedane the Mugabe in Ghana Parliament. Yes, they know say obedient mean to be him, and she become so powerful that the ebia dache woman biano na ebetumi abam. Enti let us find a way of gagging her from achieving that a goal now person achieving. Abusiafo, but me the American nyina ne say you are not doing any harm to this woman. What you say? Mo Amenfi Central for Sabi ena sabri ye jema manu aduane afiri mu nsam. Mo masku ko ena ye je afiri mu nsam. Adisua a mo mabetime anya asua ena ye je ade afiri mu nsam. Nti se mo betena ho ama sa anyoma we akoso a fine. This time can be expected say Amenfi Central ka series of a year offense demonstrations koso ewo EC office. Series of demonstrations kasamri was a week bia mo ye demonstration chirinchi eko EC so. So you need this woman back on the ballot because you can't afford to lose her because of mama school fees and some because of mama adisuya juma suya yen 70 because of hospitals ni nyomo peso ye mamunti abujanfo. This time I was some mokasa I was some mama homene so. Yes, I was some mama homene so abujanfo. any kwansa momo obi ahome momo obi arrest mo tata omo because esabe enye ade papa wo say yeso so omo so how ye no an saying na sabi u ambing ye no an saying na sabi ambing some person would je a Memphis center for ano aduane efiri omo nsam mumma wani mre we nyina nti na sabi omani abre a efen say eya majority ya NDC fu anya no e wo parliament no omo de akọ Supreme Court na Supreme Court as usual unanimous FC for no akọ overturn nye efen say speaker ekaye no because omo mpese NDC ya majority in parliament. Some of this nonsense if the NDC is the majority in parliament, ANC, they can just sanction the offense saying electoral commission a man aba near channel a man order so on making sure so the right thing. So that is why many abro gidi no. The media may catch the NDC parliamentarians. They should make sure that majority in parliament. They shouldn't give any dog a chance. Masa, and ye, and kamuma parliament, no, ma enye juma. Yes, and then kamu make sure say parliament, say pa, say ebeye juma, say pa, say parliament, say bu ebeye juma. There be the mamon train da. And ye, nka parliament maso kopim say 20. December 7th elections in Besu. Mamon tias here. Because you are the majority in parliament. What you say? You are the majority in parliament. Abusafo, the air koso, ewo a Memphis Central no. Mumma ye na ye nimre na ye make sure say periperi aba. Because Joana Jan kujo, waya chedia de ma sa Memphis Central for no. And now waya chedia de ma Ghana man. And they know say mami to me succeed pe and share bad thing so umbi to me adia kunya no afri NDC for some share be Mugabe Babe dadi Mugabe or parliament and share be too powerful ewo ho amache se di nyame akafa no ho bia no ebia na beba mu ewo daachi kabiam enti sadia yen force na yenye den yenyi network kunya mfiri ho nanti kanti sankasa bi sa suban we efiri mfa nka nyansa be na wo sa suban we sa asem we sesebi yesi ya asem aba ya to aba na ya to ye no memfa na say ya to ye no me na me wini ye me opponent sama bono kro no ya court you could do court say, oh, may court friends and recession. But we crampo no a fiasam. To mon coffee, Namuko CC, Muko CC, we are mombra. Na fe yen het ekusi. Omosuki you, yate. And na mabafi, Mopa fee na mosu, Abushan for. O de niaba nan obian fan asam ento phone. We say ni nyina say we bon joso we fi say we awia ma na asese enti wo de ensa anko ne nyina yankoto aba no fofo na aba na edi kan to ye ne yentungu candidate A what you say na o say an candidate B what you say na o say an candidate C candidate D mu nyina mo te ase o mo say an 4 candidates no mu nyina eti ase so ki yankoto no foforo achinje nti ene yakoto no foforo bi yakoto no foforo no electoral commission for ya na mo bae na mo be offense ebe supervise election no mo be supervise election no ne ato aba na wia na afei mama nipa na go through the process wa be filing a nomination maje makoye balloting order number 2 na so order number 2 na se ye koye nimu a eba ne sen abusuafo eba ne sen na afei mo kwa koye se ma disqualify no because na court omudi kan court no e the injunction to na so se ma on hodu no say we parliamentary candidate e the ma NDC mi once court no omokoye no ne court no kan say mo nko solve mo problem mu ya busuafo and o ma be solve mo problem ti no mo so mo ya no so mo court ka che court say ya solve your problem say nti ase ya adwuma ye koto aba ni wi ye no we na wi ni ye nti say ya te ho ase say nipa na we opponent on fan court on fan new one when court say new one so ye no ne bonju so na so obi awia no on fan court the identity and am say you could disqualify eyen sem hunu ne nkwasi asem mo asem say ya na easy ne bia o moto no mo di e di kira Ghana for it won't work this time around. I'm for my mon sorry. Mon to take demonstrations every week and call EC office. Yes, I will honor. So EC office so they be a mon for demonstration call. Mon tata or mon who say or mon Jim Manu be a near free monsam. Nipa na nyame de na chemo sa chede no or mon jidi free monsam. Cause mami we ansa na nyame ede ne beye de obeye nyina wie wa manfi obeka se bia okọ na nimu ana ase sei no na mo ne so mfaso a manya mo ma mo na no mo mfaso manya won ho na enye adeketoa o ti ase enye adeketoa eyo tan hunu ene ye pese ye de sei no de na kire mo akasa mo nim you know say eyo tan hunu mami na kuma mu fita odwi nipa ho obua nipa sabio parliament on mo kono o market ya saying ya tua na 30,000. How much is 30,000? 30,000 years card a day ono or the boa manfo a day bosomi ye tua parliamentary ya tua mo 30,000 sa 30,000 yes card a day Joana Gyan kuju oba na odi tuam odi che amanfo odi bo amanfo enti enye sika nti no oba he na mmom so obeba beboa ne manfo obeba beboa mo nti na oba he na se mo betena ho na wi ahwere mo betena ho ama sabi obi selfish interest nipa miru miensa bi selfish interest nti sa nipa bi se abebo mo anka muara yes. Every sep mami ebefa saying forms ewo a Memphis Central pe NDC for NPP for sorry and NDC china say yes or ye galamsey hene or ye galamsey hema and or say and no omakofa omako ni Facebook so abusiafo muntie omako ni Facebook so akoyi ni old pictures as at 2016 asema make up on Facebook na ko check me pictures na na mabonte no ko ni Facebook so na ko scroll ni pictures mu 2016 sa time no ma politics mu mpo onfa no humbe don politics mpo sa no NDC ni mpo a onyi na ni so be politics ono ye ni business what you say and as at 2016 no mo mpo no na sabio ya de mrakwan na yes small scale mining ya de mrakwan and yes small scale mining obia won the license obia wo kwan ya ofaso ye na de problem bia ni ho that is why sa time yet me twa pictures no mo de abeto abontin obia to me twa pictures no de abeto abontin to showcase MPC bebre ye na ho ade because sa time no legal kuta license wo ye aduma no perepere unya problem nti sa time no ya nya nsu a na ya ni sese na ho ya nya bi because no obia di mra so eno no mo ye no sa time no mpo no onni concession bi ono nya galam say ni da on ne de oye no say muko tuba no ato no export muko tuba no ato nti say oko one of the sites of the clients ni bi a to firi omo nchen ad omo kura hwe a omo ya brofo de omo ya brofo what you say nya China brofo bi hwe pictures ni bi a obo say nya China brofo bi take krofo mutu no ewo kwan papa so 2016 ntimi nisa moasam ya sabe na koso wo even akufo do ma me fie ewo chebi ni fie chikura galamse koso wo no sa moasam no ntimi nkoso wo 2016 no 2016 we didn't see this mess, we didn't see this kind of illegal things What you say? 2016 ya anya saa. Obi a wotu galamsey bia na mmara kwan so ene etu galamsey. Eni ti na NDC for so mo ba galamsey na nya so mo ba be bra galamsey o. There be, but they be making sure say nkwala mrantie o maba wo amu galamsey mu no mo de mmara kwan so be kwa kutu se na be ya nkose nsu aniwa. Na aboa me ne wo mienu nyina wo na wutu ene me a me sabe me soso metifia o disika ba fia ma fia ede no ye nyina ye ho atoye ne ye me yare rofrofo ma wo sika wo dia kofa sabe wakonya aba ni nyina no o mewo ma wo ba ensa ba ko ni ho o ba nan ba ko ate o ba ni ba ko asai o nko wo ma wo ba no enko dane sabe te sa aboa bi da bi na che se ye nyina no ye boa ye ho kakra o ti ase and then NDC for so mo be ye because o ma ye bi da mo hono na ye tu galamsey but insuo biara ni wa ni say ye tu but insuo biara ni wa ni say ye na makosi sasisa eye nkonfirm bi akọ hihiem e na nkonfirm no party fu bi e na mo say nyoma na fe obi o nam ne ba bi a onka ho makof na office sabi Joana Gyan kudu abusiafo mu nti se Joana Gyan kudu o ka galamsey for na tu we sure say ka NPP for nchini ntu kasamre nko dam o ti ase ko dam because our national organizer national women's organizer Kate Jemvu akrampo no yakɔhye ne machines na NDC ni awo ehun sa wo ye galamsey eno nko da so nam ha kasam no daje ko no ne yedin be scapegoat kasam no daje ebusa onya galamsey da oni concession kura da ebusa for omo pa omo fa results evidence bi mbra say na ono ne oni sa omu ni bi but because omo hu ni pictures nti say ebia no gina galamsey site bi the old pictures as of 2016 I know enye galamsey illegal na makofa ban ne na mudi na no say galamsey crimping monche ne so galamsey crimping na monche no adan am pese ni say ni papa bia o mama bia mo pese mo say no mo destroying why Why? This woman is a motivation for a lot of ladies in this country. She's a motivation for the youth. Why do you want to destroy her? Why? Oboa manfo oyi manfo free proyem. Oboa even galamsey for no mo hon of from o tu omo fo kira omo kwan omo fa so nya de na omo nya problem bi mo hon kra omo sika kra omo nya obo omo e kira omo kwan omo fa so invest sika no na timi abo omo da cha abo akro no ko omo teso na e ho ade because ono sabi onyame ahira no she doesn't need those fns and galamsey kitten that be ono drum penyifom what you say. These are some of the people we can empower them. No ni sa ankwala ni bi mrantie ni bi ahia akasa kire omo kwanya o metumi afa so aya ade na problem bi no because said you go do ndi ya motwum tan ye betu motwum mutan ye betu nyame amfa nche fom se nka fom o de che fom se ye ntu mfa nye ye ho nyoma but I don't so nche se ye mfa nsa ye nkasa ye ho enunti enamra wo nti na ndis force ye ba ye be ye ni ye be hwa ye ni ye be tutu nyoma ye na nyoma akosu ye galamsey ni ya tu no mra kwan so problem bi ama oba okotu uwia wakata so ne ho ade problem bi ama ni ye tu ni ye dada na nkrofo ba ye no ma be say what I say that is the problem we are facing in Ghana right now bujafo intimidate mesra mo Amemfi Central mo mamani na ho Ghana for momani maho NDC for parliamentarians momani na ho monsori njina this is the time ayi na wasi sorry kan to ma boom na ye fight to resist the oppressor's rule this is the time I was say sorry na ye defend our constitution even with our blood where was ye cause sab you ye nchen ye na nanom mo de omumuja eto ho ma ye no We say hi PENDREAM TV message so subscribe to the channel, like a video, no who subscribe button na for team as na like a video, share to other platforms more almost so enya bi enhwe na ma share say wo adventure bi afa to comment section no ase efama number bi and am person me the ma ani border cross travel and tour ye baby ase bana kwantu sempa say uko Europe uko America uko Asia wherever you want to go abusunya die here and so be from now when you do munu wakasa no ma kire de wo so mbetimi aya u visa ansensam de only problem so muntimi nya de let you know enye ba bia ukwakutu eska ma osika akokam da bi they are not like that unkutu eska ma osika bia nkokam tokuru bia mu da bi krofo a ya start here adverting krofo a omani omakoye adwuma nyina no have gotten their visas. What you say? And intina ye eyi mo bi me kasan entiaye and obi me fa comment bi me to ase say problem say ma come akunya debi or they are straightforward. Omuntimi nyom be ka kire this is the problem. Okwa no kresem bi on be bisa bi on asem bi on be bisa kamu no kre kire omo hwe kwan be fa so atumi aboa simple. Bushafo number obetumi afre omo asiso 0303977006 0303977006 and that's 0500410007 and 0500410007 but your friend border cross travel and talk for from a catch on say PENDREAM TV so and I'm second number send me atomani ahwe PENDREAM TV say edem yopo
PENDREAM TV, Yamishra Opani, Jumakesia, they be a show on YouTube and all other social media platforms. It's Ramongo follow PENDREAM TV. Very fantastic and doing a lot of the channel.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.